We are rapidly approaching just 1 month away from the beginning of the 24-25 NBA season, so let's keep the predictions going. Today, we'll be discussing teams that I think will perform in the 24-25 NBA season. 5 teams make out the list, and we'll be going from worst record last season to best record. I am basing their potential success on expectations. These are not just the 5 teams I think will be the best this season. And I mention that because this list starts out with the team that had the worst losing streak in NBA history last year, the Detroit Pistons. Not only did they go on that historic losing streak, but they also won just 14 total games in the season, tied for 5th least of all time. Now, you hear those things and mention the fact that they have made the playoffs just twice in the last 15 seasons and question how I could have them on this list, but I think they had a great offseason. They had 5 key additions: Ron Holland, Tim Hardaway Jr., Tobias Harris, Malik Beasley, and Paul Reed. Already just put those names together and it sounds like a competent group of NBA guys. The additions of Malik Beasley and Hardaway are important because they add shooting around their elite guard and primary playmaker, Cade Cunningham. Paul Reed has been an underrated player for some time now, and also adding Tobias Harris while his stock is low was also a solid move. You have all those guys and a couple solid young guys in Asar Thompson, Jalen Duren, and more, and this team starts to look half decent. I really do think they have a sneaky chance to squeak into the play-in, but if we're being realistic, I think they could reach the mid to upper 20s in wins. Hilariously, just 24 wins would be their best record since the 18-19 season, but I do have confidence they can reach that and start to find some progress in this rebuild. Next up on this list is probably the most obvious one, and that is a team who had just 27 wins last season, the Memphis Grizzlies. Their tough season was to be expected with the suspension and injury to Ja, as well as the injuries to essentially their entire roster. They had virtually no offseason additions outside of the draft, where they selected Zach Edey, one of the favorites to win Rookie of the Year. He was a great choice as it allows Jaren Jackson to play power forward, his natural position, and improves the team rebounding. As the team center, Jaren Jackson grabbed just 5.5 rebounds last season, and I really don't have to explain much more than that as to why Edey was the right pick. This team was a top seed for multiple seasons and one of the best young teams in the league until their progress screeched to a halt last season. I just simply expect them to return back to where they were, which is a potential 50-win team. This team is scary good on paper, and if they can stay healthy, I see no reason why they can't return to the top half of the Western Conference. For the third team, we move back out east for the 36-win Atlanta Hawks. The DeJounte Murray and Trae Young experiment clearly did not work out, and statistically, the Hawks were better with just one of them on the court. In 4 games without DeJounte last season, Trae Young averaged 25 points and 11 assists on 36% three-point shooting, so that already is an advantage for the Hawks. Their biggest offseason move was simply lucking into the number 1 pick and selecting Zachary Richardson, who should be really solid, although I think he might have a tough rookie year. They also acquired Dyson Daniels and Larry Nance Jr. in the DeJounte Murray trade, who I think are both solid players. Larry Nance should fit like a glove next to Trae Young as a lob threat and could be a sneaky good player this season. I don't see them being a crazy team or anything, but I think we're definitely looking at an improvement in comparison to last season. Especially in a pretty weak Eastern Conference, I could see them returning to 40+ wins and working their way to the top, if not out of the play-in, and into the top 6 teams out east. We move back west for the 4th team, and that is a team that nearly made it into the play-in last season, the 41-win Houston Rockets. Already a much improved season for them last year, and this year I just expect the same. I think we could see them move into the play-in, although that could be tough with how stacked the Western Conference is from top to bottom. No crazy additions or losses for them this season outside of Reed Shepherd, but the main reason I think they will succeed is just simply development. They now get another season with Ime Udoka and another season of growth for guys like Tari Eason, Amen Thompson, and Cam Whitmore. This all doesn't even mention their extremely solid guard play in Dillon Brooks and Fred VanVleet, as well as their potential all-star Alfred Sengun. They just have a very deep team, and I think for the next 2 to 3 seasons, it'll be slight improvement as they continue to grow their young talent into elite NBA guys. As I mentioned, I think they could make the play-in this season, but more importantly, I see an increase in wins happening this season. Instead of low 40s, I think we're looking at a mid to upper 40-win team, which should give them a shot at making the postseason. The 5th and final team on the list just missed out on the conference finals last season, and that is the New York Knicks. Biggest story with them is, of course, the Mikal Bridges trade, but I think re-signing OG and Precious Achiuwa was very valuable as well. I know Tibbs doesn't care too much for depth with how many minutes he plays as starters, but this team is unbelievably deep. The biggest worry is losing Hartenstein, but I think they're going to be okay, and the amount of depth they added helps them survive injuries as well. The Knicks also get back a guy who was all NBA not too long ago in Julius Randle. The starting lineup on paper looks like Brunson, Bridges, OG, Randle, and Robinson. Then off the bench, they still have Hart, DiVincenzo, Deuce McBride, Precious Achiuwa, and more. New York finished with exactly 50 wins last season, but this year, I think we're looking at them to get to the mid-50s and potentially fight the Celtics for the 1 seed, although I do think that is unlikely. For me, they are the biggest competition to the Celtics out east and could very well end up in the conference finals or NBA finals come playoff time in 2025. So there you have it. Those are the 5 teams that I think will perform for the 24-25 NBA season. As always, if you guys agree, disagree, or have a team you think should have made the list, be sure to leave a comment down below. I'll have some 2K videos coming soon with the new game releasing, but the next NBA video you guys will see is 5 teams I dislike for 24-25. If you guys made it to the end, I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.